Hello, Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike. I am the Nightwing Way of Life Esports coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. So, I just want to express to you guys what Cloud9 fans felt when they dropped Sneaky and added Sven into the bot lane.
What? What the fuck? No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Well, hello Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike. I am the Nightwing Way of Life Esports coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. It is about time. As I promised, I'm going to talk about Cloud9, my favorite team in the North American LCS, and has not won a title since 2014 summer. But this year could be different. They have made changes to their bot lane, and a lot of fans are not happy about that, as they managed to bench Sneaky for Sven, who was previously on TSM, and Sneaky has obviously been on Cloud9 since he started in the LCS when he was on Quantic Gaming. I bet most people didn't actually know that in general, but looking at how everything for C9 has panned out in this offseason, there has been, player equity, contracts and disputes going on. There has been the whole Snake situation, the C9 subreddit drama, but none of that is going to translate into what is going to translate later on into the LCS 2020 spring split, because you can have all that drama go on, but what happens in the Rift stays on the Rift, and by the time the split starts, most people would either forget about that and realize one of two things. So yes, they did bench Sneaky, and yes, he has been a pretty consistent performer, obviously, in the LCS, but you must have watched these games. He did not play that good, in summer, and he has had more than one bad split. I don't know where people get this from, where he's just had one bad split. That is not true. You need to go back and watch other games, not past this year. But was it the right thing to bench him? Looking at how the whole year panned out, it actually was the case, and a personal good thing in my own personal opinion, because remember, Cloud9 has not really had a sufficient change in the bot lane. You'll never know what can be better if you never actually switch him out anyway, because remember, every single other player besides Sneaky around him has always gotten switched out, and then the team has came so far to success, but then has faltered at a certain point. So why not try out a different AD carry? It's just gonna be a much more beneficial thing. Now, whether or not they do it right now and they fail doesn't matter, because at least they tried. The best thing about anything that I can tell you in terms of a team organization or a sports team, because I have played traditional sports in my life, I played on teams before. If something needs a change, it's better that you do that change than keep what you're doing that is not working. Yes, Cloud9 buy players low, sell them high when they groom them into actual talents. That's a good thing. Yes, Cloud9 is the most international successful North American team. That is a fact. But they can get past that hump if you continuously can upgrade or side grade or switch things up, You should never be in this spot where you are only accepting one way of playing or one style of team. Now, that's not to say it's all Sneaky's fault. It's definitely not. It's definitely a team-wide issue. I think that Reaper probably should not be the head coach anymore. I think that getting a coach like Young Buck, or who else would I get? Dylan from Schalke would be a nice pick. You have Kane from TL, which would be a nice pick. But those are things that you have to be able to work around and actually be able to change up players. Remember, look at G2, look at IG, look at Fnatic, look at SKT. All of those prominent esports organizations all changed out players constantly, year after year after year. They took so much criticism, so much flack from their fans, and yet they were consistently winning titles, winning championships. And now the fans are like, well, what's a Yarnin? What's a Wadid? What's a Untara? What's a blank? All the SKT fans who were so mad at SKT last year for having Untara and blank and Blossom and Bang, and Wolf was playing jungle, during the spring split of that year. All their mouths shut up when SKT started winning again. So these changes right now that Cloud9 are doing, the haters will shut up right when Cloud9 starts winning. You can go support Evil Garbage, Fly Trash, your Golden Garbage, 100 Trash. Go ahead and support those teams if you like. I'm choosing to stick with them. They have proven they are the most successful international North American team. That is not for debate. They have proven that they have gone to Worlds every year that they've been an organization. That's not a debate. And also, they are consistently at the top of the LCS, except for what? Maybe one split they weren't at the top of the LCS. That's when they were actually switched out high for Jensen, and they were like, what, 9th place? So out of one split, out of how many years? 7 years, they've been pretty much the top team in the North American LCS. Let's not forget the semifinals against the Freak of Freaks. They've also had other close best of fives against other Asian and Korean teams as well. So you can go support your other trash organizations that aren't going to make playoffs or aren't going to make Worlds. I'm sticking with these guys because I don't really care about drama or anything like that. Players get switched out anyway. It doesn't matter anyway, given the fact that eventually you need a change. Whether you choose to believe they don't need a change, they do. A lot of the Cloud9 fans are mad about how badly Worlds went, you know, and everybody after they got knocked out of Worlds was so mad. And do you want to feel like that again next year? Do you want Cloud9 to go into a group next year and feel the same way you did last year? Because that's the same feeling that happened in 2015. And after 2015, they changed the roster, and 2 years, 3 years later on down the road, they made semifinals at Worlds, and that could not have been possible if they didn't make changes. And people just need to understand that change is inevitable, and it's going to happen anyway. And at one point, Sneaky was going to have to be on a different team anyway, or not on the team. Eventually, it was going to happen anyway, and just got kind of fast-forwarded this year. Now, I don't really care who said he said, she said. None of that matters in terms of gameplay, because I believe if Cloud9 can win the split coming into this year with a decent roster like they have, and that has a lot of upside and potential, with them potentially getting to the finals or potentially winning the split, that will actually shut up a lot of people. And let's just say they're going to be in the finals or semifinals. That alone right there still proves they're going to be a top team without legacy players. They switched out a lot of legacy players and still managed to get in the top half of the LCS and crack top 3. Now, this roster is a little bit different, and that's what I'm going to go over right now. So you have Licorice in the top lane, and we're going to go straight top to bottom. Licorice has been one of the most prominent LCS top laners. He can play carries, he can play tanks, he is super flexible, he can carry the game, he can also play a weak side top laner, he can play the strong side top laners, and actually be a severe impact in the game. You always see a lot of the drafting surfacing around Licorice. We've seen it at Worlds that he's able to take care of top tier Worlds caliber players on his own, and it just begs the question of, can he really get past a certain hurdle? Because there are certain games or certain drafting games where obviously they're, you know, going through their pick and ban, where I'm like, he can take the carry and win the game, but then he chooses to not do that. And players like Someday, players like Broken Blade, if they know they can carry the game with an Akali, a Vladimir, or a Camille, they're going to take it no matter what every single time. I feel like that's his problem. His problem is that he tries to play too much for the team when he could just solo carry the game, as we've seen him solo carry games on his own just by the leads he gets in his own lane in general. Now, this year is going to be a little bit different for Licorice, because Licorice and Niski, is which I'm going to lead into next, also have to play with Blabber, and that really kind of is going to be the problem here, because Blabber, no offense to anybody, I know the criticism and the upsides and downsides of Blabber. I don't think he's actually that good right now. That could change coming into this year of 2020 LCS Spring and 2020 Summer Split as well, but right now, I don't think he's actually that good. I think that he has very fundamental issues with being way too aggressive, not knowing what to do in the mid game, and he's definitely not a late game jungler, because, well, most of his games end at actually 25 minutes. He actually has some of the fastest jungle games if you look back at those 2018 stats, and these games are from this year as well. Now, if we're being completely honest here, he has lost pretty much every single game since this year when he got subbed in. So that's 4 games from the summer split, and that's every game at Worlds he played. So, and then, well, technically that last game is against Hong Kong Attitude, but he's had more of he's went like 1-6. That's pretty bad, actually. Now, I love the excuses people give. I love them. Oh, team this, team that, blah, 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 blah. None of that matters. You still lost the games. You know, if I made as many excuses as other people did for a lot of people, I would actually be a millionaire, because that's a lot of excuses. But depending on how Blabber plays with Niski and Licorice, which is going to be stronger parts of Cloud9, they're primarily going to be a top and mid-focused team, with most of Blabber's jungle proximity being around Licorice and Niski. And that leads into another problem with Blabber. I don't think he's actually flexible, and I think that he only can play one way. But to be fair, if you can play that one way really, really good and people can't stop you, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it, because if they can't stop you, I really really do prefer flexible players. But, if he can't really do that, I guess that's fine. You know what I mean? So let's talk about Niski. So Niski has actually been, I think, a top 4, top 5 mid laner since he came over this year. Looked pretty rough against players like Jensen and Bjergsen, but against players like Crown, Demonte, Froggen, Pobelter, he did actually pretty solid, and he won a lot of his lanes consistently. And then when we saw him go up against Jensen and Power of Evil in the last 2 playoff matches for the summer split of this year, he actually did very well and was actually able to generate leads on his own. And his issue, I think that if he can just improve on several different things that Jensen and Bjergsen do better than him, because Jensen and Bjergsen know how to sufficiently get leads in lane on their own with pretty much out their jungler. We've seen Jensen and Bjergsen just pretty much solo carry games without the jungler's help at all. TSM, Bjergsen, wards. It's so funny. TSM and 4 wards. It's so funny. But yes, Bjergsen and Jensen have the ability to carry games pretty much without their jungler a lot, as we can see. Because the reason why I can say that is because where was Xmithie and Jensen synergy all year? Well, that was non-existent. Where was Acadian and Bjergsen synergy? It was non-existent pretty much all year. And then you look at the later parts of the year, they didn't really even have good synergy with the junglers all year. And that's why I think Niski needs to go on his own and play without Svenskeren now, which is going to happen. And I think that Niski and Blabber are going to have to eventually work on this synergy, because the meta is calling for jungle mid duo, top jungle duo, support jungle duo. It's all about the duos and about who has the best synergy, who can create the best map pressure. And also, I think he's flexible, but I think that he's a little too flexible in the way that, like, he can't play exactly what is going to be meta to the highest T that the other 2 caliber mid laners are. But those things can be worked on. It really depends on how much the meta and mid lane is going to impact the game. But I think Niski is a solid top 4, top 5 mid laner. You don't always have to be the best in your role to win. I mean, it's evident that Pobelter won the LCS several different times, but as long as you're serviceable and can carry the game, and you're not just a dirty freaking inter, then you'll be okay. All right, now it's time for the bot lane. So Sven and Vulcan. So let's just diversify them both, because usually I do bot lane together, but they're 2 different players. People have to understand that. So the reason why I'm doing it separately for this time is because of the whole Sneaky situation. So people are saying that Sven isn't an upgrade over Sneaky. Now, first of all, you don't know that, because we haven't seen him play for Cloud9. That is just a fallacy. You cannot use that. Both of them had bad splits. So technically, this isn't. I'll give you that. It is technically a side grade. It's not a downgrade, because they both look bad. It can't be a downgrade if you both look bad. That's not how that works. So Sven coming over, I think right now is a side grade, but can be an upgrade in the future, depending on how Vulcan is able to play. If Vulcan played like he did on Dignitas, aka Clutch, then they're going to have a pretty good lane. But will this be a more of a passive bot lane that likes to just see what comes? They're the lane that will they push the waves out, they recall, they back. Knowing how Sven wants to prove himself coming into this year, I think that you'll have to see a different level of Sven, and I think that Vulcan has a lot to prove this year, though I do think there'll be a top 4 bot lane, given the fact that other bot lanes just don't really look as good, personally, to me. I think that Sven has a lot to prove this year, but that's going to be able to be, showed to me when the split starts, because I'm not just going to say, like, oh, he's going to dominate everybody. It's not going to happen. Let's be honest here. Doublelift is probably going to win the split again, because he's won. Doublelift has won every single split since 2017 summer. Yeah, so it's been a while, and I think that a different environment for Sven will be better for him. TSM just, was not good for him overall. And Vulcan, I think the problem he has is, I think that his level of playing support can effectively work, but we're going to have to see it efficiently work with these guys. You know, just because he did it one way on another team doesn't mean that he's going to be able to do that on this roster. Now, with Reaper's coaching and the way C9 work, I think these players actually have a good shot. Now, pre-power ranking predictions, I think this roster could finish top 3, top 4. You know, that's where I'm kind of getting at. Second and first, nah, I'm being 100% completely honest here, guys. TL and TSM are my top 2. Sorry about that. You know, I'm a Cloud9 fan, but I gotta be pretty honest here. They have the better rosters, and you gotta go off who has the better rosters in the offseason to make your power ranking predictions. That's just how you do power rankings in general. But I think that they have a top 3, a top 4 team, which is not bad. Looking at how much they gave away in their own organization to end up with this, I say not that bad. Most people are going to be like, oh, they're going to be a bottom team. They're going to do bad. Yeah, right. Yeah, because they're going to lose so many games to FlyQuest in the split. Yeah, all right. Yeah, because Golden Guardians are going to be so much of a threat this split. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, my goodness. But we'll have to see how it all pans out. What style do I think they're going to play? Probably a mixture. You know, I think that they're not going to settle on one style. Sven doesn't really take up that much resources, but that depends on what the meta is going to look like. The preseason right now is all out of whack, and there's new champions in the game, and there's a lot of creative jungle pathing, and there's just different ways to play the game. Reaper's drafting is always pretty suspect no matter what, so let's see about if anything is going to pan out when we actually see the team, because we're going to have to see the team as who they are. People are going to be like, well, this last year and that this year. No, that doesn't matter. What happens is right now. Do I think this team has the ability to reach semifinals? I do. But I think this team is going to go through growing pains like all the other new rosters do. Remember, they're literally switching in 3 new players. Oh, technically 2 if you count Sven and Vulcan, but Blabber is going to be his first split in the LCS as a jungler. I do believe they could also pull a Cloud9 from 2018 spring, where they start off like, you know, one of the best teams. That could happen, but it just depends on, you know, synergy and how well they actually, you know, gel as a squad. The team style should be mostly playing for the early game. I don't see any of these guys realistically beside Sven playing a scaling ADC, depending on how Riot chooses to, you know, function with the meta or balance it in any way, shape, or possible. That's probably not going to happen. So that's it on my Cloud9 video talk. You know, always kind of give the respect where you know, credit is due. And, you know, not being biased. I'm not biased towards anything. You know, that's just how it works around here. Well, biased maybe toward my teams, but just kidding. I know there's a lot of hate going on right now, but to be honest, all the haters are going to shut up when Cloud9 starts winning again. And when they go to Worlds, even though they think Cloud9 is going to fail, I would just love to hear tears out of people's mouths, you know? And it's going to be so fun to hear about every single excuse as to the reason why they got as far as they did going into 2020. But I think they have a good shot at making finals. They have a good shot at winning the title, potentially, because there's just, well, you never really know how a split is going to pan out. They could theoretically in playoffs pull off a bunch of upsets. You know what I mean? Like, they could start off like really bad, get in like 6th place, and then go through quarters 3-0, semifinals 3-0, and then go to finals, go to MSI. There's a lot of possibilities for, you know, teams. You know, you never really know exactly what's going to happen. You know, no one predicted TSM to beat Cloud9 in 2016 spring when they had Yellowstar, but it happened, and that TSM went to finals. So, you know, you just never know. And that's it. Legacy players don't stay on the teams very long. You know, ask how many legacy players are still on their teams to this day. There's what, Faker, Bjergsen, and those are legacy players. And I mean, there's others obviously, but you know, it's time to move on, and this is a new era of Cloud9. Hashtag wear the 9. It is the year of C9. Let's make it happen. So I'll see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe, most of all enjoy. I'm the Nightwing, and Way of Life Esports is signing out.
Hi there guys, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more stuff.
Yeah, thank you.